The main event, we got Rafael dos Anjos taking on the returning Vicente Luque. RDA is a -125 betting favorite, +105 for Vicente Luque, and RDA is A200 on DK. And for Vicente Luque, he is 8,000, Pete.
Yeah, I tell you what, if this fight had a different salary associated with it, I'd be much more inclined to fade it or be underweight to it. But because of the 8,200, 8,000 price tag, it's really difficult, right? You have 5 rounds to work with. If it doesn't go 5 rounds, that's where avoiding the fight could actually work out in your favor. Obviously, first round finishes go automatically going to make it optimal. But anything besides that in round 2 or round 3 is possible that you don't need it. I just think for the most part, it's going to be difficult to get away from it. Rafael dos Anjos has a great takedown floor always. He, even at his age, he's able to go out there and impose his will in the takedown department and grappling department. Massive control time, 14 minutes, 13 minutes, 6 minutes, and 6 minutes. That was in his previous 4 matchups against Paul Felder, Renato Moicano, Rafael dos Anjos, and Bryan Barberena. If you go in that list, though, those 3 fighters, first 3 fighters I just listed, they're lightweights. And I do think that Rafael dos Anjos has had success at welterweight, but I do think that he's relatively undersized. Muscular guy, but I just think that, his true success is going up against, fighters taking it on shorter notice. Paul Felder taking it on absolute short notice. Renato Moicano taking it on short notice. Rafael dos Anjos, that was a lightweight fighter and ended up losing in the 5th round. I do think that there is a nice takedown floor for Rafael dos Anjos. There's more to his UFC resume, 21-12. Vicente Luque, a guy who has been inconsistent of late, but has a ridiculous resume as well in the welterweight division. Tons of finishes, excellent darts chokes, excellent hands, great striking, suspect takedown defense, but he does work his way back to his feet decently well. I went back and I watched the 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵 fight, a guy who has more explosive takedowns than Rafael dos Anjos. But I do think that that's a very difficult matchup and something that Vicente Luque clearly has learned from. And for him to go up against Geoff Neal and lose in the 3rd round via KO TKO, he has taken a ton of damage for a guy who's relatively young in the sport. So I worry. I do worry about the brain bleed. I do worry about a lot of the damage. But I am picking Vicente Luque here at 8,000 on a week where I'm not in love with a lot of the underdogs. Give me the true welterweight as an underdog who has never been an underdog in the UFC up until now.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the brain bleed, brain hemorrhage that Vicente Luque had, that's why he's been out the last year. He did have to go in front of the commission, had to go through the doctor process to be able to go through there. I mean, that to me is a little bit of concern. I mean, but one thing that Vicente Luque does have in this matchup is he's got a 6-inch reach advantage in that one. That to me is notable. Get a couple questions we got in here. T-Rex saying, can dos Anjos constantly take him to Takedown City? Like, to me, I think that's got to be a part of the game plan here. And to me, I look at this fight, like over on Prize Picks, one of the Prize Picks props I do like this week is the under 21.5 fight time minutes, because I think this thing's going to be done within 3 rounds.
I don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it. I do think that finishes favor Vicente Luque more. I know that Rafael dos Anjos' jiu-jitsu is ridiculous. I worry about wrestlers against Vicente Luque because of his inability to defend takedowns sometimes, and he's offensive in the jiu-jitsu department, but not as skilled defensively. So I do worry about that. He has lost twice via submission. That was early on in his UFC, in his regional career. Inside the UFC, he's just lost decisions, and most recently a TKO to Geoff Neal, where he got hit with every single left hand Geoff Neal threw, whether it was an uppercut, straight left hand, whatever it was, that left hand could not miss. I think that Vicente Luque rebounds here. I think he picks up a nice win over a big name in Rafael dos Anjos. I think that he ends up TKOing Rafael dos Anjos. I really do. But a decision wouldn't surprise me in the least bit. So I would probably say about 3/4 of my lineup are going to have this fight. And then just 25% I'm going to get different and hope that perhaps it's a low-scoring bout or that it does go the distance. Yeah, I mean, all you need is just 6 other fighters to outperform this fight, and I do think that it is possible on a 13-fight slate.
Looking over the betting side of this one, the prop bets that stuck out to me were the inside the distance props. Vicente Luque inside distance plus 165, and of course RDA inside the distance plus 275.
Yeah, I don't see either one of them submitting each other, right? Like I know that Vicente Luque has a great Darce choke. I just don't see anybody submitting Rafael dos Anjos. I just don't. And Rafael dos Anjos, I think that outside of getting the back, I don't think there's a way for him to submit Vicente Luque. So do I really believe Vicente Luque is going to TKO Rafael dos Anjos? I think it's possible. I really do think it's possible. So I like the inside the distance. It's definitely safer. But I think the KO prop is something I lean a little bit more for Vicente Luque.